Welcome back to Nighthawk Films, everyone. My name is Ian Allen, and today I bring you my Pokemon team if I was in the anime Part 7. Now, I know I've been a little bit MIA on this series for the last almost year. I've been away from 9 months. I've been trying to come up with the script and the Pokemon team I wanted to have. I did finish it a while back, but then I actually had to redo it recently because I didn't like the Pokemon team I had, and I had to change a little bit of some aspects of the story. But now we have it all set up and we are ready to go. So, with that being said, let's head into my adventure through the Alola region. My journey through the Alola region. Also, I decided to change my character design. I did add more color to him. After winning the Kalos League and coming back home to Kanto for a few months pass, where I am greeted with a nice surprise. My mom and Professor Oak had planned a trip for me as a congratulations for winning my first league. The trip was to a place called the Alola region. I can't wait to go, so I pack up my bags, and the three of us head to the airport to get on the plane for the Alola. While we are on the plane, Professor Oak tells me while we are in Alola, he wanted to introduce me to his cousin of the Pokemon school based in Alola. Once arriving, I'm greeted by Professor Oak's cousin and Professor Kukui, who also works at the Pokemon school. While I'm there, I meet some new friends named Lana, Yahweh, Lily, Mallow, and Sophocles. Professor Kukui presents me to the class as a winner of the Kalos League. The whole class is shocked. I'm getting asked questions left and right until I get a question from Yahweh. He asks to have a battle with me to see how strong I am. Of course I agree, and we head outside for our battle. The battle starts with Yahweh bringing out a Pokemon that I have never seen before called Turtonator. Responding with my Blastoise, I start the battle with Hydro. The battle gets to a standstill where I show Kiawe Mega Evolution, and he shows me Z moves. Blastoise is still able to beat Turtonator and the battle is over, so both of us shake hands and are now rivals. After the battle, I asked Professor Kukui if I could go and explore the Alola region while I'm here. Professor Kukui said, "Sure, in fact, let's all go on a field trip for a little while." The class and I travel around I have no idea how to say these names, so if I'm butchering them, I'm very sorry. Class and I travel around Iki Town, and I came across a wild Rockruff that had been spotted around town. The Rockruff and I locked eye contact, and just by looking at it, I could tell it was hungry for battle. I decided to throw a Pokeball at it, and I caught it. After catching the Rockruff, Professor Kukui tells me something that sparked my interest. He tells me about something called Island Challenges, where I battle strong trainers named Island Kahunas. He took me over to the first one in Verdant Cave, where I met Lima and... Okay, I never saw Pokemon Sun and Moon. I never saw the anime, so I don't know how to say any of these characters. He took me over to the first one in Verdant Cave, where I met Lima and his Gumshoe. After talking to Lima, I decided to battle his team with my Blastoise and Rockruff. I didn't want to rely on Blastoise the whole time, so I used Rockruff a lot until his Gumshoes came out. Luckily with Blastoise, I was able to beat Lima and get the Nomalium Z. Since I had only seen a Z crystal once before from Kiawe, I could kind of guess what this one does. I asked Professor Kukui how to use the Z crystal, and he told me I'd need to have a Z ring to do it. He pulls one out from behind his back and gives it to me as a gift. I thank him for it, and I head back to the Pokemon school, where I meet up with my mom and Professor Oak again. A few days go by as I enjoy my vacation in Alola. Professor Kukui asked me if I would like to pick up a starter Pokemon. I accepted, and he brought out Rowlet, Litten, and Poplio. These three all had potential, but none of them had more potential than Litten. So I picked up Litten and made him a part of my team. Eventually it was time to head back home. However, I did not want to leave Alola since I had made such good friends with the other students at the school. So I asked my mom if I could stay here in Alola with Professor Kukui. After a long talk with both my mom and Kukui, I was given the okay to stay in Alola. So both my mom and Professor Oak went back to Kanto. On the way back from the airport, we ran into a wild Rowlet, who was being attacked by some wild Passimians. So I bring out Blastoise and get rid of the Passimians. The Rowlet was safe and was about to leave, but Rowlet saw how strong my Blastoise was and wanted to be strong too. So I decided to catch Rowlet and adding him to my team. Rowlet was stronger than it looked, and because of him, I was able to get the Waterium Z crystal from Lana, who was the water captain. Obviously, I'm taking some aspects from the game and some aspects from the actual show itself, because again, I don't remember. I remember I played Pokemon Sun and Moon, I just never watched it. With these 4 Pokemon, I do some training to try and get to know my Alolan team. Our training went into the dusk of the day, and as we were about to wrap up of our training, my rock dog began to evolve into Lycanroc. My new rock dog is really strong, and we put that to the test the next day with some small training. We then headed to meet up with Yahweh as he was able to help us get the Firium Z Crystal. The two of us battled, and with the help from Blastoise and Lycanroc, we came out on top. Surprisingly later that day, I went back to Professor Kukui's place and started eating dinner. In the middle of dinner, Litten began to evolve into Turtlecat. That was completely out of nowhere and shocked us all, but at the end, we were very happy that it happened. Basically, what happened is he got a lot of experience from the battle with Yahweh, and I guess it just didn't kick into him until later that night. The next day, Lycanroc and Turtlecat trained to learn some new moves. While on the beach, Mallow came by to say hi and asked if I ever wanted to challenge her to come to the lush jungle. So I make my way to the lush jungle where my next grand trial arrives. Having Turtlecat was helpful, and with that, I had now gotten the Gracian. Being on such a roll collecting these Z crystals and after beating Mallow, I asked her if Sophocles was a captain as well. She said yes, but he was on Ula Ula Island right now. So, with that information, I make my way towards Ula Island, where I head to the Okaluna, I don't even know how to say it, observatory. I went to the space observatory to battle Sophocles. He accepts my challenge where we battle it out. I take down Sophocles mostly with the help of Lycanroc, and I receive the Electrium Z. After beating Sophocles, I head back to Professor Kukui's house. He tells me that he has taken the class on a field trip tomorrow to Mount Wanakina, and if I wanted to come with, I was more than welcome. Apparently, I didn't need to register into the Pokemon school to go to these kinds of field trips, but I decided to go anyway. The next day, I joined Kukui in his class on the field trip. While we were there, I found a strange-looking Sandshrew. Kukui told me that some Pokemon in Alola that might hail from other regions can have regional forms and different typing. This was one of those Pokemon. Sandshrew is found in Kanto and is a ground type. However, in the Alola region, Sandshrew is an ice and steel type. I decided to catch the Sandshrew and add her to my team. After adding Sandshrew to my team, we all then head to an abandoned Mega Mart where I meet a woman named, these names, Acerola? I'm going to go with Acerola, who is the Ghost Trial Captain. I decide to battle her with the help of Turtlecat, Lycanroc, and Rowlet. I did have Sandshrew out to have her absorb the battle. I beat her and I get the Ghostium Z Crystal. As I was trying to leave the Mega Mart, I ran into a wild Mimikyu. This by far was one of the strongest ghost types I had ever seen before, at least in the wild. I wanted to catch this ghost like Pikachu and add him to my team. I have almost collected enough Z Crystals that I asked Professor Kukui if there was a Pokemon League here in Alola. He told me there wasn't, but he was trying to get one here in Alola for quite some time. I tell him to ask Professor Oak about the Pokemon League in Kanto and how it works, to try and get it implemented here. A few days later, Professor Kukui took the school to explore the vast Pony Canyon and Island. As we were exploring the canyon, I decided to take a little detour. I was battling some new Pokemon, and my Rowlet evolved into Dartrix. With this new evolution, I make my way to the end of the Pony Canyon, where I meet a totem Pokemon named Tomomo. I hate that. With this team of 6, I brace for battle. As the battle is nearing its end, and I think the Komomo might beat me, my Dartrix finishes the battle with a speedy Leaf Blade. I have now obtained the Dragonium Z Crystal. I make my way to the Seafolk village, where I meet a trainer named Mina that specializes in fairy types. Before our battle, she gave me something. She gave me an Ice Stone. She asked me if I had any Pokemon that could benefit from the stone. I tell her I do, and I bring out my Sandshrew. I give Sandshrew the stone and evolves into a Alolan Sandslash. Our battle begins, and with the help of my Sandslash's stronger Steel-type moves, I beat Mina and obtained the Firium Z Crystal. Apparently, she thought she was stronger than I was and did not realize how strong my Sandslash was. After getting the necessary amount of Z Crystals, I head back to Professor Kukui's house and rest up. The next morning, Professor Kukui tells me that he wants to take me to a special tour to a new stadium that is out in the middle of the ocean. He was telling me that the stadium was being built for the last couple of months. We arrive at the stadium, and he was telling me that he has been trying to get a Pokemon started in Alola for a long time. He was inspired by me to make the league for trainers to see who is the strongest in the region. I thought it was a good idea and accepted his offer to join. Kukui said, "That's great to hear, so let's not keep the people waiting." I was a bit confused when I saw that the matchup was between me and Kukui right off the bat. Kukui told me that since it was built kind of last minute, and no one really knows the rules for the league since it was new, Kukui scheduled the battle between him and me to see who the strongest trainer in Alola is, along with it being like a type of demonstration. Our battle was tough. We both give everything we have. In the end, Blastoise actually gets taken down by Kukui's Incineroar. I had never gone up against Kukui in battle before, so I didn't think he was that strong. And all I have left is my Turtlecat. My Turtlecat struggles in the beginning, but as the battle goes on, he starts to do some damage. The battle is almost over, and in the heat of battle, Turtlecat evolves into Incineroar. They both do a Darkest Lariat and knock each other both out. It is deemed a draw until my Incineroar stands up, and I am deemed the strongest trainer in Alola. Kukui and I head back to his house, and I begin to pack up my things. Kukui was confused. I told him that it was time for me to head back to Pallet Town. Kukui agreed with me and took me to the airport. I decided to take my Pokemon with me, and we land in Kanto. We have now been deemed the strongest trainer in both the Kalos and now Alola region. Well, I think that's going to be it for this episode of my Pokemon team if I was in the anime. Obviously, there was a very few different changes from the actual anime, because again, I'm not trying to make my character almost exactly like Ash. I'm trying to have some changes here and there. Up until Kalos, I think I've seen most of the Pokemon anime from Kanto to Kalos. I never really saw too much of Alola, or at least I don't remember watching too much of the actual Alola League. And this one was a little bit tricky because, again, I haven't seen too much of it, and Alola to me is sometimes kind of confusing. So that's why it kind of took me this long to make this one. But also on top of that, I have now been deemed the strongest trainer, or at least the champion of 2 regions. Now you're probably thinking, well, okay, the Pokemon League was just between me and Kukui. How is that really a league? It's kind of like a demonstration type of thing. So it's kind of just to show off how the league is going to work, or how some battle formalities will actually work. In the next episode, trust me, I think it'll make a little bit more sense to a certain point. Because what I'm trying to do for Pokemon Journey, since I didn't see too much of it, of the actual anime, but I have been working on a story and a script for it. Well, I haven't worked on a script, but I've made it the story for that one, so I think you guys are going to enjoy that one. But for right now, before we actually do that and head on out of here, I just want to show you guys a quick glimpse of all the Pokemon that my character has caught in this adventure. My entire team, or all my Pokemon from Kanto to Alola, these are all the Pokemon that I have caught. And honestly, I think this is probably a really cool group of Pokemon. I think this is probably my favorite series I've done on the channel. Or at least it's definitely one of them. Anyways, with that being said, remember to share this video with your friends and family. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you guys in the next video. And again, I apologize for this one, taking 9 months in advance to try and get out, so I'm very sorry about that.